Namaste and welcome to Pariksha Par 5.0. I am Divya Singh Sharma, live on NCPCR New India Junction and Doordarshan for you all. Pariksha Par 5.0, a campaign organized by National Commission Protection of Child Rights and Endeavour for providing a platform for students, parents and teachers to share their thoughts and get guidance. We have various guests who will help us take you through the celebrations called exams. And today we have Dr. Swaroop Rawal with us. Dr. Swaroop Rawal is famous as an Indian actress with a body of work in several Hindi language films and serials. She had won the Miss India contest in 1979 and represented India at Miss Universe, obtained a PhD in education from the University of Worcester. She did a doctoral thesis on using drama to enhance life skills in children with learning disabilities. Let's welcome her to Pariksha Pe Charcha. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. It's nice to talk to you again. We did.
Yes, it's lovely meeting.
We did have this session last year and it was very interesting and intriguing and it helped the students a lot. I hope we can contribute more than what we did last time on today's session.
Yes, this time I have something interesting.
Okay. Ma'am, you have done your thesis on a very unique thing where you use drama to enhance life skills in children with learning disabilities. Can we start with that? You can throw some light on that.
You know what? Let's keep that. But I want to think else now.
Okay,
So,
ma'am.
I just want something about in an interesting way.
Yeah, ma'am.
About exams, okay?
Okay.
So everybody thinks exams is stressful, demanding, depressing, and boring. So you wonder why would people think exams are boring? Well, I'm one of them. I'll do something that's really and very terrifying is that college, I went to the exams and I must have been so, filled with so anxiety and stress that I found myself boring. And you know what I did? I actually left it blank and came. And obviously I failed. So I just want to tell the kids that, when you have exams or various type of, feelings that are happening to us, के लिए बहुत अलग-अलग टाइप की भावनाएं होती. But I think we should think of exams as motivating, life-changing, important, fun, exciting. So this is
Yeah, ma'am, your audio was a little breaking up a little, but I caught what you said. So basically, you had to leave your exam paper blank. That must have been really stressful. Did you use any technique to? You had to leave your exam paper blank. That must have been very stressful as a child. So did you find a way to overcome this?
Yes, so there are lots of ways you can overcome it. But one of the things is we need to understand whether we are stressed out or we are experiencing stress or anxiety. So stress, no, is a good thing. Because if you're not stressed, then you're just too casual about it. Let me tell you, like when we are acting, if I go into the day, I go to do a play just with full, casual attitude, that is the day I perform the worst. You go stress, but stress can be good because it wants you to perform, it makes you perform well, then that is good. What is bad is anxiety. You know that feeling of being helpless, mood to jata, your heart beats go dhad, 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 dhad. You feel, butterflies in the stomach, wo vomity feeling hoti hai. That is what is very bad. And that is what you need to, learn to handle well.
Yes, ma'am. So, speaking about handling, matlab for a child, it's very difficult to come up with a solution for such things. How does the child overcome and decide what to do next when you have left the paper blank and you've failed? How to overcome failure?
Okay. I want that first of all, never leave your paper. That is the wrongest thing I did, and I should get whacked for it. You should never it. जो भी याद है, जो भी मालूम है, whatever you know, whatever you think of, you must write it. It's very important. But I want to tell you something about anxiety and negative stress. For that, you can't do anything last minute. You have to make it a habit. But जैसे our honorable Prime Minister said that we are exam warriors. तो warriors कैसे होते हैं? They are strong, they worked on it, they've practiced their art. तो ये करना है. And it's never too late to start. You can do this even 2 days before. One of the most beautiful thing is what we do in our country is yoga, the exercise I'm talking about. We should do pranayam. We should do deep breathing. And that is one real jadoo ki chadi. You sit at the exam and you do a bit of deep breathing and you see how well you calm down. So that is one thing we have to do. But before that, you remember we need to have very good sleep. You must sleep well. You need to make your whole program in such a way that you can sleep well. You need to eat well. Jaise, all the junk food should be out. You should be eating good fruits. You should be eating vegetables. Take out everything जिसमें बहुत ज़्यादा नमक है. Take it out because that affects your brains and your mind. So you should stop eating all those chips and all that rubbish that you get. उससे तो अच्छा है ask mom to make something for you. So that's what you should do because salt and all this oily food makes you hungry. And there is one very nice word for it. It is called brain fog. You know fog कैसे होता है? वैसे brain में fog हो जाता है. And then you're confused, there's no clarity and you can't focus. So food is very important. Another thing that's very, very, very important is exercise. Whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be yoga. It doesn't have to be aerobics. It can be just going for a walk or like my son Aditya does, he plays football. So hamesha exams ke time, he would take out like half an hour, 45 minutes to go and play with his football. And then he would come back so happy and really study well. Another thing is that if you feel anxiety, if you're feeling extreme stress, talk to people. It's no shame to reach out to people. So you should talk to people. Like you can talk to your parents, you can talk to your friends. And agar wo bhi nahi hai, to talk to professionals. It's a very important thing. And I think these are some of the best ways. And of course, pranayam, remember I said breathing. Agar you don't know pranayam, then just take deep breath in and deep breath out. Itna to karo. You see the difference. These are my points.
Ma'am, you were right to mention Prime Minister Narendra Modi's mantra there to be a warrior and not a warrior, and also how he stresses on yoga in the book Exam Warriors to take care of this, to take care of your anxiety and stress during exams. And he also mentioned that in Pariksha Pe Charcha.
Sorry. Continue.
Okay. Next question is that the parents and teachers usually say that you should avoid junk food. Do you believe that junk food should be avoided during exams? Does it cause harm?
I just said that and I will say it again because it's very important. Junk food should be totally out of your life during the exams. Why? Because good nutrition helps you to stay healthy and it builds your mental stamina. Eat light, small meals, simple things which you can digest. You know, when you overeat, how you feel? You feel upset in the stomach, you feel restless, you can't sit down. So, that is the thing. Oily, high sodium food, junk food should all be out of your menu right now. I'm not saying that, you know, वो पाव वड़ा और वो पिज्जा और वो सब अभी मत, you know, like take it out forever. Don't do that. I'm just saying during exams and during the time you're studying, because this type of food is very hard to digest, and because it's hard to digest, you you know, you start feeling drowsy. You get what I said again, brain fog. I will say it again because it's very important. Brain fog is like a dhummas of the magaj, you know, a धुआं सा, you know, पूरा brain एकदम वो धुआं धुआं में आ जाता है. It's like everything is out of focus. You're very tired. You feel you know, confused. Like, you know, you start confusing your formulas, you start confusing characters in literature and all that. You lose mental clarity, you cannot think well. So I definitely say junk food is out during study time and during exams.
Warrior, what do you think what could be, if you have gone through the book in Exam Warriors, what is your favorite mantra and what do you think will be go to for the students?
My favorite is yoga and exercise and pranayam. I'll tell you why. Because, you know, see, exercise, don't take it as a punishment. You know, people who don't do exercise think, yaar, ye kya hai, haath pair hilana. But just think, when you're studying, you're sitting in one position for so long. Your body needs to get up, your body needs to walk around. And exercise is not only pure exercise. You can think of some game. You can go and play. Girls and boys can do skipping, which is so good. You can go and play handball, basketball. You can go and play football. You can just go put on your headphones with the loveliest dinchak music and go for a walk. That is exercise too, you know. So that is very important. Of course, if you have learned yoga, then you know how great yoga is, because yoga has got a lot of things which, you know, get your hormones and all your mental faculties working very, very well. But if you don't, at least you can put on music and go for a walk. You will come back fresh and ready to study. Now, why I say so much about pranayam? You know something? When you're writing your paper and you're in the exam hall, you're not going to be allowed to get up and move your hands and legs and, you know, all that. You'll get punished, or you'll get, you know, marks taken away. But you can sit in that place and close your eyes and do deep breathing. I'll give you an example. Once, of course, this is an example of when I was doing my master's, and I was much older than all of you all are. But I was doing my exams, and in one literature paper, I, you know, the was set so badly that I couldn't understand the question. Now I couldn't understand the question, so I didn't know what to write. What I did is I closed my eyes and I did deep breathing. I just deep breathe, and you know, my pura stress nikal gaya. You may say, oh God, you wasted like 2 minutes in breathing. But think of that. If I had not spent 2 minutes in breathing, I may not have been able to write my paper. And then I wrote my paper so well that the highest marks for my MA exams I got in that paper, which I may not have got if I had not closed my eyes and done deep breathing. So pranayam is a very, very, very good thing. Besides, yeah, the pranayam methods of deep breathing can even get you to sleep well. So I think these two are right at the top of my list.
That's good, ma'am. Ma'am, how to make a strategy to study not for the exam marks but for students' confidence to get more to gain more knowledge?
Um, Not for marks. I, anyways, don't agree that we should be studying just for marks. We should be studying to know more. So, but you know something, everybody has a different way of studying. And I think we should concentrate on that. So, ultimately, the text everybody has to learn. And one of the greatest things to do is, read around that subject. Like go to the library, find out other things about that subject. What will happen is that you will know what you're talking about and writing and, reading much better. Like, for example, supposing you have a poem which is on the World War. And now that poem, so you will learn. But what about finding out what was the situation of the soldiers during the World War and how did they live and what was happening to them? And if you learn that, and you don't have to learn it up by heart, but you could just read it. And then when you've read that, you will know your poem so much better that when you have to answer, you will really be able to answer well. Like, for example, if you're talking of photosynthesis, find out what it is. Find out plants that don't, have a different way of doing their photosynthesis. Find out how photosynthesis helps the plant and how the food which we eat, which has, had good photosynthesis, how does that make a difference? Go and get that little bit of extra knowledge. That will really help.
Ma'am, in midst of all this, usually when you're totally prepared, you have this anxiety called performance anxiety. Like you spoke about positive and negative anxiety, or positive negative depression. So performance anxiety is very common. Even somebody who's topping, especially someone who's topping, they have this. So how do you deal with this?
So, again, now I'll go back to these points again. Remember, you need to get good sleep, you need good nutrition, you need to be, you need to do your exercises, your pranayam, you need to get support. You really need to relax. It's very important. And all this comes in a thing called self care. We need to take care of ourselves. It's very important, no matter how big or small you are. Self care is a way of ensuring that you are at the best possible mindset to take up challenges in life, especially during exam or preparing for exams. So, and why not even generally in life? What happens with people who are very, very good, high mark performers and stuff like that? They get so stressed out in overloading themselves that during the exams, they suffer from too much anxiety. One of the things is that they just have to be the best. Don't do that. I'm sure you will be the best if you do what is up to your best capability and your best mindset. So don't think of the exam like that. Don't think of it as challenging. Relax, You probably say, okay, what is this you're saying, ma'am? But think of exams as fun. Think of exams as something that's exciting. Think of, something that's motivating, that's life changing. And, that will make such a big difference to you. Try it out.
Good suggestion, ma'am. Ma'am, we also have some students who are sending us live questions. One of the questions is
Yeah.
from Gagan. He's from Hisar, Haryana. He says, as a student, which food habits should be followed during exams?
Okay, there's no real name for it, Gagan, right?
Yeah.
So, dear Gagan, first of all the best for your preparation and the exams. There is no one particular style of food that is very good. And I think that's really rubbish. They have all this keto and they have low carbs and high proteins or they have some Mediterranean diet. Don't do all that. Especially now, eat what is your normal food habits and normal खाना जो घर में बनता है वो ही अच्छा है. Try to eat what's made cut out bakery stuff, eat, the ghar ki roti. And now, like our Prime Minister said, start eat, I'm sure every part of our country there are millets. Eat millets because they're so good and they're so easy to digest. And they're really very good. Like we have ragi, we have, different ones like amaranth and all that. So eat that. It's very good. Eat vegetables, eat fruits, eat food that you can digest easily and well.
That's a great suggestion, ma'am. Ma'am, another question we have from Satish Patel. He's from Gandhinagar, Gujarat. He says, in present scenario, there is so much competition and comparison. This creates anxiety and worry about the future. So, how to deal with this stress and concentrate only on preparation?
Satish, beta, what you do, I've been saying this again and again, and everybody's been saying that. Don't worry about what's going to happen afterwards. Take one step at a time. And an exam time is a very, very important part of, children's lives. Like it's so important that, we should not be distracted. So just now, just worry about studying well and your exams and taking care of yourself. I'm sure you will find something for yourself, some great work. And again, that work never comes on straight off. You have your whole life ahead of you. So you don't want to be number one from the time you're out of your home. You should worry, don't worry about all these things. And just think about how well you will do your exams and how well you will learn, and all that will make the biggest difference. And remember, staying healthy is very important. Just giving exams is not the only thing. You have to stay healthy while you're giving your exams, and anxiety is not healthy. So remember that you have to do some things that will take away your anxiety.
That's true, ma'am. Ma'am, you have also been a trainer who has traveled across India. You've conducted workshops for teachers to impart the knowledge that you gained during your thesis for the benefit of the children. So, how can this be used to help children who are dealing with stress, especially during their board exams?
So, what I teach is that I teach that सब कुछ last minute कुछ भी नहीं होता है. So, that's why I keep on stressing that you need to do all these things from the beginning. Like, in fact, parents should start doing this from the time the children are in nursery and, in play school. Have good habits, good eating habits, good healthy habits, good learning habits. Jo bhi, if you just learn it up by heart, rote tota ki tarah, it's not going to work, because the minute you're anxious, then wo tota flies away, and then you don't know what to do and what to write. So it's better that you learn well and you learn how to learn. And that's what I keep teaching, the teachers and the children. One of the most important things is Jeevan Kaushal. That is your life skills. Now, these life skills are so important that they're going to help you in nursery, first, second standard, primary school, secondary school, college. They're even going to help you at work time. So you need to do life skills. And what are life skills? You need to be able to understand and manage your emotions. I've been saying that about anxiety. You need to know yourself. You need to be able to talk well. You need to be able to listen well. You need to think creatively. You need to think critically. You need problem solving, decision making, being kind and empathetic. ये सब skills सीखनी होती है. But what is the thing about it is, like your exams and your writing and everything, you have to practice it. So if you think of this as fun, it will be very helpful for you. If you think of it as a headache, then it's not going to help. Just like studying. If you're going to think of studies as fun, as exciting, as motivating, as life-changing, then it's going to be great. And otherwise, you're not going to be able to do anything. Another one thing I want to stress on, Satish, is that marks are not the only thing in life. I was a very, very average student in school. I used to sometimes barely just make it through. But when I went on to become an actress, I became Miss India. Then I did the best television serial ever called Ye Jo Hai Zindagi. And then I became a teacher at 38. And I did my PhD. And I did it in England. And when I went for my Viva, the examiners got up and they said, "Ma'am, we have passed you at the onset because we've never read a PhD like this." Now, you can never imagine that Swaroop, who was in school, who was barely getting marks to pass, can write a PhD that's one of the best PhDs in the world for qualitative studies and teacher education. So, I mean, that's what my examiners told me. Today, I'm on the Central Advisory Board of Education making decisions for how children should study. Can you imagine? I was so not good in school, but that doesn't mean I was not intelligent. So don't worry about marks only. Don't make your life centered around the marks. Center your life around learning. And that learning should never ever stop.
That's true, ma'am. Ma'am, another question is from Shrishti. She's from ninth standard. She's asking how important are other activities like playing, yoga, surfing, and social media, etc. during the exams?
Very, 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 very important, except social media. I'm sorry to tell you that I think social media is not such a great thing to waste your time on. But if you said that you wanted to do a painting or you want to sit and chat with your friends, I will say that's a great thing. If you say you want to go for a walk, like I just said, go for a walk, put on dinchak music. I'm not even saying कि यार बहुत high classical music सुनो. नहीं. Have fun. It's very important. Exercising is very important. It's very important. It's very important. And I can afford to say that because, like today, I'm 63 years old. I've been exercising correctly since I was 20 years old. And there's never been a time when I stopped exercising. So, आप ऐसा कि हाँ हाँ मैम आप तो कुछ भी बोलते हैं नहीं. Again, I gave you an example of how pranayam helps. It really helps. Another thing, it makes us look so good. We'll have pink cheeks, bright eyes, and we'll really look like stars. So that's very important. Exercising is important. Maybe seeing films, seeing a bit of television, yes. But I don't think you should waste your time on social media. Do social media when you're free and after the exams. But you can read comics. I don't mind. That's great. You can eat something that's interesting, which is made at home by mom. Jo favorite khana hai aapka. You can do all these things.
Ma'am, you said we should avoid social media, but also we have to
Yeah.
see that today's generation is not just giving online examination but also studying online. There are some courses, especially post COVID, that happens only online. And so when you know that you have to use technology, like even Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, you are using technology to study for your advantage, but there are distractions. So how to maintain that balance?
You have to be a very strong person. And no, now online learning and social media is a totally different thing, okay? You cannot confuse Twitter, Facebook, Instagram with online learning. So please don't do that. You have to become very tech savvy. I'll tell you is that when we got a computer in the house, my kids knew the computer, but I was the last one to learn. And I think I'm the one of the best because I can even do editing of videos, etc., all online. So that is important. But social media is something totally different. Like I would never ask you or suggest that you read some silly filmy magazine and waste your time over all that. Don't do that. If you're reading the newspaper, great. So it depends on what you're doing online. Like if you're studying online, it's very important. There are classes which you do online, they're very important. But again, you just need to put a stop. You need to be strong and say, ये मैं नहीं करूँगी अभी और नहीं करूँगा अभी. ये एग्जाम्स खत्म हो जाने दो उसके बाद करूँगा. If you had that half an hour, I would rather you take a nap than waste your time on Instagram.
Ma'am. Ma'am, as children, we often end up comparing ourselves with others, even if the teachers or parents are not comparing us. We end up doing that
Correct.
comparison. So, as children, how do we restrict ourselves from comparing us to others?
Again, this is something which we just have to make it a habit. And a comparison to hota hi rahega. We keep on doing that. Even I do it at this age. But we have to learn to not let it affect you badly. Because you could look at a comparison and feel great. Like again, if you say कि ये स्वरूप मैम तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी का नाम ही लेती रहती है. But I mean, I'm not comparing myself to him, but I think of him as my inspiration. तो वो जब कुछ great काम करते हैं तो मैं करना चाहती हूँ. Like there are teachers in the world who I think are very good. Like there is a teacher called, a philosopher called Maxine Green, and she writes very well. And I cannot write as well as her, but I always look up to her and I think, wow, to be able to write like that. Like, for example, speaking at conferences or speaking like I'm doing today. When I started off, I could not do it. And I used to look at people who could do it and say, wow, I wish I could speak like that. तो उसमें कुछ बुराई नहीं है. But if you take that comparison and let it pull you down, then that is bad. So if you see somebody who's better than you, and say, wow, I wish I could do that, and try to work towards that, it's a great thing. But if you see, somebody who's really good and you say, wow, that person is so good, main to hopeless ho, forget it, I'm not going to try. That's bad.
So, you can use the same comparison positively to make yourself better.
Yeah, just like I said, you can use stress well. Because if you don't experience stress, then you will just not move. कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ेगा. No stress for exam. छोड़ो ना, क्यों पढ़ना है, रहने दो, क्यों लिखना है, why bother to write well, that is when you're totally no stress. So if you have a little bit of stress or a little bit of anxiety, you will work towards it and say कि नहीं नहीं अच्छा करना है एग्जाम में. अगर मैं अच्छा नहीं करूंगी, like the boy said, Satish, I think, then how will I get a good job? How will I, go into a good profession? So थोड़ा तो चाहिए stress. ऐसा ही comparison, don't let it be negative. Like if your brother is very good or your sister who's older than you is very good, look up to them and try to be like them. Okay, see how well she studies, see what they do, what are her ways of studying, what are her timetables, what does she eat, what does she do, and then do that. Don't take it in the negative way, take it in the positive way.
Ma'am, usually we are overpowered by our emotions. So, how to not
Yeah.
let our emotions hamper our studies or our process of studying, our routine?
I always say that there is always a time when you will feel some emotion or the other. There can never be a time when you're not feeling an emotion. Now, all emotions are good, but that emotion can be bad even if you don't use it well. So, more than letting an emotion control you or you control your emotion, think about how you can manage it. Now, understand the difference. Control means dabana, hold it. No, if you try that, it will never happen. But if you learn to manage it, it'll work. Like if you're sad or if you're scared during an exam. Now, this is a very valid emotion. Everybody feels scared. Everybody is worried. Everybody feels, अरे यार क्या आएगा ये पढ़ लूँ नहीं पढ़ लूँ. Now, just supposing you can manage it. Now, how will you manage it? One of it is you have to understand, first of all, what emotion are you feeling. Now, if you're feeling scared, for example, think, why am I feeling scared? What is it that's making me feel scared? And learn how to get over that scared feeling. For example, if you're angry, now angry is a very valid emotion, because if things are not going your way, if something's disturbing you, you will feel angry. But how you react to it is important. If I break things in the house, I say, Acha, if you're going to make noise like this, I'm very angry, I won't study. Abhi harm to tumko hi hoga. So why not, learn to do something that will calm you down? Like again, the same things, pranayam, listening to music, or maybe sit and tear paper till you get into a good mood. Punch a ball, go and play football, kick a ball around, go and call up your friends, sit and talk to them. Learn how to manage this emotion. So, learn how to manage your emotions. First, recognize what the emotion is, and then understand why you're feeling it, and then learn how to manage it.
Ma'am, that's true. And what would be the impact of practical knowledge and street smartness in the overall development of a child? Because bookish knowledge and practical knowledge have a very different play out in the real world outside.
Yes, but you need both. You can't afford to say कि नहीं मैं street smart रहूंगा, तो तुम street smart रहोगे तो pocket मार बनोगे. ऐसा नहीं चलता है. You have to have your correct information even. So you need knowledge too. You can't just say that, I'll become a doctor by just go on doing practicals. ऐसे थोड़ी होगा. You'll have to get knowledge, right? Like I'm giving you all tips which are so easy, right? Like you would think, oh, this is street smart tips. They sound like that. But I have sat and I've studied it. Like remember when I told about food, that you need to eat proper food that's not high sodium or high fat. Now, where did I get that knowledge from? I got that knowledge from studying, right? So you need, like, you know what? I'm a researcher. And students, this is something which is very important. You need theory and you need practice. So you need to understand the theory and you need to practice the theory. You can't practice the theory without knowing the theory. And without just knowing the theory is not going to help. You need to practice it. So you need both of it together. Like in maths, we will know the formula or we will know how to do the sum. But don't you need to do it 10, 20, 30, 40 times to get the good practice? Exactly like that. Like doctors, for example, or when in biology you're doing dissections, you know what you have to do, but you have to keep on doing dissections to become good at it. So the same thing. Like there must be so many students who are listening to me right now who are painters. You know how to mix paint and you know how to color a sky, or you know that. But how many times do we do it? You know something? When I studied commercial art, and we used to have to do 100 sketches every Saturday, Sunday. That is called practice. So more than street smart, I would say the conflict is between theory and practice. And I think we need knowledge of theory and we need the practice. We need both together, because practice without theory is hopeless and theory without practice is even hopeless. वो सिर्फ रटा रटाया होता है. समझने के लिए you have to practice it. So you need theory and practice together.
Ma'am, usually you are always prepared, often prepared for your exams. But then sometimes you have this feeling of self doubt just before the exam. So, how do we overcome this feeling of self doubt?
Um, Again, it's all, self-doubt is something which you must just not let creep into you. Exam time, like, have you noticed that um, when Narendra Bhai or our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Ji, he made the name exam warrior. He did not say exam artist or exam sports person or exam player. So, what does a warrior mean? The warrior means that when that war is come, you're prepared. So then there is no time for self doubt. जो भी self doubt करना है वो पहले कर लो. Once you're going into that war, you have to be prepared. You're not some player or some funny joker or clown. You have to do all that worrying before. And that is why, we talk of good preparation for your exams. And it's very, very important that you do your preparations. Not just go into the exam thinking, हाँ यार ठीक है हो जाएगा. ऐसे नहीं चलता है. Preparation तो करना ही पड़ेगा. Now again, when I'm saying preparation, you're preparing to do your best. You're not preparing for marks. Again, I'm telling you. Like our Prime Minister says, it's not about marks, it's about excellence. And you know something, when we do plays or we do films, हम कितनी मेहनत करते हैं, हम कितने रिहर्सल करते हैं. When you're doing a play, we do rehearsals for over 1.5, 2 months. And every day we are working from, like 9 to 4, 9 to 5, 4 to 10, and learning the lines, learning everybody's lines, the pura script by heart. Practice करते हैं, because once you're on stage, there is no chance for you to be scared. There is no ways you can be anxious. There's no ways you can have self doubt. वो self doubt का time है rehearsal करते वक्त, preparation करते वक्त. वहां तुमको जो खेलना है खेल लो. But once you walk into that exam hall, once you walk onto that stage, once you walk into, cricketers walk into the field, no question of self doubt.
Ma'am, what will keep a student motivated even when the student is in a stressful situation? How to keep finding that source of motivation, of inspiration?
This is the time I feel that you should take help from your parents, your brothers, sisters, friends, who will keep on motivating you in their talk. So you can talk to them and, get motivated and move, because there will be times when, you're feeling less motivated. You feel, okay, I don't know if I should be studying, if I should continue, what I should be doing. So that's the time when you take help of friends and family.
Ma'am, how do you develop interest in subjects that you're not interested in? Because to pass the exams in 10th and 12th, you need to know all the subjects, whether you like it or not. You can choose your stream later on. So, how to develop interest in uninterested subjects?
I'll tell you one thing is, and it's a fact, and this is a mother talking, that there are subjects where we think are useless, but they're not. Like I insisted that my sons, Anirudh and Aditya, they had to do maths and they had to do science, come what may. I would not let them move away from maths and science. One of the reasons is that by doing science, you have a scientific temper. You start thinking in a different way. And maths is so useful for everything. And they would argue with me and they say, why are you making us do it and things like that. Now, both my son are actors and work in theatre and films. Anirudh, my eldest son, when he was doing his masters in theatre art, one day he came to me and he told me, Mummy, thank you very much for making me do maths. So I said, why? He said, today in the class, in our theater class, we had to do the set design. And we had to calculate area and how to put the sofa and how to do the windows and all that. And none of my other classmates could do it. Only I could do it well because I studied maths and they only did humanities. Another day he comes and he tells me, thank you for making me do science. I said, क्यों क्या हुआ? He said, today we were learning lights. So you know how in theater you have to do lighting, and because you have to put different color lights and you have to look at the distance and then you know put filters and all that had to do with physics. And he said learning science in school helped me a lot. Remember, students, you must do all the subjects because they're very important just now at school time. Then you can leave it later on and concentrate on whichever is your main subject. But that you can do later on. Right now, you must know basic maths and science and all. For example, there may be so many girls who are very, very good in art and want to become dress designers. Why girls? Even boys. Some of our best dress designers in our country are men. You have to know your numbers, you have to know your measurements. वो मैथ्स के बिना होगा ही नहीं. You have to have maths in everything. Just now, I was doing a camp for little children, and that little children's camp was in soap making. In soap making, you have to measure the liquid, you have to measure, you have to see the heat, all that, and it's all science. So, basic science and basic maths is there in everything, it's in our life. And I don't think you should learn it. I mean, stop learning it. So, if you want to learn it well, stop thinking of it as your enemy. Think of it as something that's going to help you all your life. And then you just see how well you can learn it.
That's great advice, ma'am. Ma'am, usually you are more tensed after the exams because of the results than you were tensed before the exams. So, how do you avoid this stress about results after the exams?
After the results, to enjoy your life. I mean, sorry, after the exams, go and have fun. Just enjoy yourself. You studied so hard, you worked so much. Now, where is the question? तुम्हारे हाथ में तो कुछ है ही नहीं अभी. They will do all the marks, and you know how our boards are so kind to us that if we feel that we've not got the perfect marks, we can still open our papers. So we have all the chances left. I think, okay, some people just have a habit. अभी एग्जाम्स के पहले स्ट्रेस फॉर एग्जाम्स के बाद नाउ स्ट्रेस फॉर समथिंग एल्स. Take that out of your nature. It's a very bad thing. So just don't be anxious, don't be anxious all the time. Learn to relax. Then go back to playing more. Go for a swim, go for a walk, go and meet your friends and enjoy life. Have fun.
True, ma'am. Ma'am, how to deal with criticism? What happens is you often go through emotional breakdown because of these constant taunts from teachers and parents. So sometimes dealing with criticism becomes very hard for students. So how do they deal with criticism? Constant.
So this is a tough one because it's very, very difficult to deal with criticism. Um Everybody kind of feels a little sad and scared about it. So I feel that one of the things is that you need to build up your self confidence, your self awareness, and this comes in life skills. You should make your life skills very, very strong. Another thing is that find a friend you can talk to, or a brother or a sister. So if you can talk to them, or maybe your mother or father, because if teachers are bad, then you can talk to a parent and just find your own support system. Do that because it'll make a big difference.
Ma'am, how can students deal with nervousness of technical glitch during an exam despite of being prepared? This is a live question from Tejashwi Nath from Muradabad, Uttar Pradesh.
Technical, as in your
They
ruler
have
breaks, your pen breaks, or something like that.
that, or these days they have
I
online
don't know.
exams, right?
Yeah. Sorry, sorry.
These days they also have online exams.
Yes. So you need to be prepared for anything, like uh, internet is a big problem if it's going to be an online thing. So have some safety device ready, and take for that, remember to ask your parents for support and see that you get help like that. I think that's the only thing I can say, is that you must have your second device ready. Like, don't we go, when we used to give our exams, we used to write with a pen. And we used to have two, three pens ready. We used to go with a rag in case the pen starts leaking. And, your pencil and your sharpener, or, just be perfect with all these things. So that's the only advice you can get, because what else? Supposing the electricity goes off, what are you going to do? So you need to have maybe a fully charged cell phone ready, maybe a fully charged laptop ready, maybe a fully charged iPad ready. So, think of that. And one of the best way to do this is, don't do this in the last minute. Do this a little in advance. Do reflection. Think of what all you can do if you have a problem. So, if some device of yours stops working, you have a safety device ready, you have a friend's device ready, uh, you know, uh, these things you just have to do. This is not exactly what y'all are saying, but I just suddenly thought of this. Is, when I was writing my PhD, it is 110,000 words worth. And when I was studying, we used to have CDs, right? So not these USBs. So we used to copy all the work onto the CD. And what I had done is, my final work, I'd copied it into three different CDs and kept the three different CDs in three different places. Like, one was in my office, one was in my home, and the other two were at my friends' houses. And I told them, please keep this in case something happens and there's a problem. So think of what type of a problem can happen, and think of what are the things you can do, because this is a sort of not particular question, so I cannot give you an exact answer. But this is what I feel, is that you need to think of all the possibilities, and have extra devices ready.
That's true, ma'am. Ma'am, we have another live question from Vinay. He's asking you, what is the most challenging part of your life right now?
Right now, no, let me give you an answer about what happened to me when I was writing my PhD, because it has to do with exams. And I think, Vinay, you will like it. So I was writing my PhD, and I had written 110,000 words. That's a lot, very big. It is a big, thick PhD. And one of my guides wrote me a letter from England, and he said that I have supported 25 PhDs. If you support this, you will fail. So he says, don't submit this PhD because it's not written properly. You will fail if you do it. And I looked at the screen on the computer, and I closed my eyes, and I just couldn't believe that I had read it. So I read it again. And he said that he had supported 25 PhDs, and if I submit mine, I will fail. So I closed everything and I closed my computer and I sat down with my eyes closed for 2 minutes. And I remember very clearly my youngest son Aditya was standing behind me and he was in the sixth grade at that time. And he says, Mom, what are you going to do? And I said, I will do something. And I opened my PhD and I started reading it again. And I started reading and seeing where I was weak. And I remember the whole of the second chapter, which was the methodology chapter, which is one of the main, it's the heart of a PhD. I did not like it. So I took it out and I rewrote it. And then I submitted it again. Then I gave it to my supervisors to read again. And that person was still stuck. And he said, no, it's not right. And I said, no, this is it. And I'm going to submit it like this. And can you imagine the pleasure I had when I walked into my Viva? My examiners got up and they congratulated me and they said, congratulations, this is one of the best PhDs we've ever read. I'm really proud of it for a lot of things. One is that I did not give up. I did not cry one tear that day because I said, no, there's no point in crying. We need to see where we are wrong and correct it. That was a very good lesson for me, and it was a very good lesson for my son who was studying in the sixth standard. That don't give up. You can always change something and make it better. Don't give up. And then I worked so hard on it and I made it so good that when I went for my exams, the examiner said that they gave me my PhD without any corrections. So it is practically like getting full marks. So you see, have confidence in yourself and don't give up. Another thing is, don't go for anything that's less than excellent. And you know what I used to do? I used to pray to God. And I used to say, Bhagwan, please let my PhD be so good that it will be really appreciated by everybody. But while praying, I didn't just leave it up to God to do it. Huh? That cannot happen. God's there to support you, but you have to write your work on your own. How did you like the story, Vinay?
I'm sure Vinay must have loved this story, as did I. Ma'am, we are coming towards the end of our session, and in the start of our session, we said that we will talk about your thesis where you have learned how to use drama to enhance life skills in children with learning disabilities. So, you can throw some light on that.
Yes, so this has to do with my philosophy of, studying should be fun. Studying should be experiential. Remember, I told you theory is not good enough. Theory is important, but you have to do a practical. So that is why drama in education helps a lot because it's about putting theory into practice. जो भी सीखा है उसको तुम्हें ड्रामा करके you have to present it. Another thing is that I believe learning should be fun. Teaching and learning has to be enjoyable because if you're not enjoying, you can't learn. So this has to do with the way I believe, I think that this is how learning should be. It should be fun. There should be a lot of practice. It should be a lot of experience. And there should be something which is called reflection. Remember, I said reflection is you need to think about what you're doing. You can't just do it. So you have to think and answer the question why and how. Why is this happening? How can I make it better? These are the things that you need to do. And when I told you I'll talk about my PhD, I already told you just now, right? About how I worked so hard in it and made it, I really worked hard for it. I had a great time writing it and I had a great time teaching it. But fun doesn't mean being hopeless. Fun doesn't mean wasting time. Fun means really enjoying what you're doing. And again, theory and practice. Experience is very important.
true, ma'am. On that wonderful note, we come to an end of today's session. It was great talking to you again this year for Pariksha Par 5.0. I believe we did even better
And
than 5.
we need to share with them about what a problem we had with my computer. Remember? And somebody asked what to do if you have a glitch or something happens. So, students and all the people who are listening to me today, understand that my computer internet went off and it didn't work. And like this the technical side of this program, they kept on telling me to turn my cell and it wouldn't turn because my image was going ulta. And so with basic possibilities, we've done this show. Isn't it true?
We ended up doing a good show anyway, even with the screen
Yeah.
problems. Close to
Yes.
us. It was an exam for us
Yeah.
also. And thank you so much for
Yes.
joining in to all the students, and thank you, ma'am, for being a part of Pariksha Par 5.0. We did better than 4.0 this time, I believe. And we wish that you
I
come
think
each year for our sessions.
I will. One of the reasons is because I just love the children of my country. I love every Indian child and student. Lots of love to you all and best wishes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for tuning in. This is Divya Singh Sharma from New India Junction, signing off with NCPCR and Doordarshan. Bye.